I don't know about all of you, but after this episode, I could certainly go for a little calamari. Let's get started.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba-ba.
Hello, my friends. Welcome to Thumb Together TV. My name is Andrew Fantasia, and today we're going to be talking about Watchmen, Episode 5, Little Fear of Lightning Together. As usual, if you enjoy this video, please feel free to give it a thumbs up and give some love to that subscribe button as well. Otherwise, someone will drop a giant squid on me and my brain will explode. I think that's what happens. I really want to make it a point now to read the Watchmen comic so I can understand the specifics of how this squid kills people, because I don't think it just killed everybody by crushing them with its body. There's some kind of psychic blast that it gives off. So it's a psychic squid, apparently, and I just want to know the basics of that. But if you're new too, and this is your first experience with the Watchmen story, that's what the squid did. Okay, so in 1985, the squid dropped from a portal somewhere that Ozymandias opened, and it killed upwards of 3 million people in New York City and the surrounding areas with its giant psychic blast. And probably one of its tentacles squished somebody too. That seems plausible. It's a big squid. And that reveal of the squid at the opening of the episode was probably my favorite moment in the series so far. What I love about this show is that it really does seem to keep getting better with every single episode. Granted, there's only been 5, so that's not the boldest statement I could possibly make. But I do find that that's the case. 4 episodes ago, the show couldn't stop talking about Oklahoma, and now we're dropping squids, and there's a psychic blast in Hoboken, New Jersey. That, to me, is progress, if nothing else. So we really are chugging along at full speed. I think there's only going to be 9 episodes, not 10 or 8, which is sometimes used as well, but 9, which is odd. I don't think I've ever seen that before. And to me, I think that this truly was the turning point episode where now things are going to chug right along to the finish line. Looking Glass has always been a really cool character, but we've seen so little of him. He's just this enigmatic fellow who pops up kind of looking like Rorschach, but not really, and then he says something wise and then he disappears. Well, this one's all about Looking Glass, and we find out his tragic backstory, which is that in the mid-80s, he was part of this devoutly religious, doomsday spouting group of some denomination, and on the day the squid fall happened, he happened to be trapped in a hall of mirrors on a carnival thanks to an unfortunate incident involving a punk rock girl. Yeah, them punk rock kids in the 80s, man. Trouble. But it turns out that mirrors and tinfoil and reflective surfaces actually do what those lovable crackpots in the cartoons claim that they do, is it blocks the psychic waves. So when the squid hit, he was safe because he was standing in a hall full of mirrors. Which is why every time we've seen him, he's either wearing his mask or he's got that baseball cap on, which we reveal in this episode. Underneath that baseball cap is a whole lot of that, what's it called? Reflectium or something like that. It's this high-tech reflective metallic mirror substance that he just lined the inside of his hat with. That right there, that reveal was so damn cool, at least for me. That told me legions of information about this character that just made everything click and add up and fit together perfectly like a smooth piece of a jigsaw puzzle. You know, you find the right piece and you drop it in place and it goes in like liquid smooth, because that's exactly where it's supposed to be. When I saw the inside of that hat, I was like, oh, I get it. I understand now. And when poor old Looking Glass gets duped into following the 7th Cavalry to this warehouse, they want to call him there because it's part of their evil scheme. And we see who's at the forefront of this evil scheme, the sleazy Southern senator who's always grinning wickedly like so. I don't think I've ever seen any form of media where the Southern senator who grins like this has not been in on the little scheme. So it wasn't really a shock that Senator Keene turns out to be the bad guy. I was like, oh, there he is. It's only a matter of time. But that's not important. It doesn't matter whether I was shocked or not. What matters is that it fit the story well, and it gave a driving force. It lit a fire under the ass of Looking Glass. Because guess what? Keene showed him that A, they have a teleporter, and B, they have a copy of a video made by Adrian Veidt back in 1985. And Veidt, man, I don't know how they did it, but they worked some de-aging magic on Jeremy Irons, and he looks exactly like young Adrian Veidt. Like, wow, good stuff. And this video spills the beans. This video was meant for President Robert Redford when he was sworn into office in, I think, 91 or 92. And the video was meant to tell the president, hey, look, just so you're aware, we didn't really get attacked by aliens. I did that. I teleported the squid there. because it was either that or face imminent nuclear war. And the truth of this hits Looking Glass like a punch to the gut, because he has spent the majority of his life living in fear of another alien attack. And that, folks, to me is the greatest moment that this series has given us so far, and one of the greatest moments television has given us this year, because the world building in Watchmen has always been grandiose and really, really interesting, and all these little tidbits of, hey, you're living in the Watchmen world, here you go. And for me, that really culminated, it climaxed in this episode with the concept of 11/2. Just like we had 9/11 in our real world, and 9/11 is a real thing, you know, people speak about in hushed tones, and I was like, oh my god, this was a thing that happened to us. This was a dark day in human history. I'm assuming in this world of Watchmen, 9/11 didn't happen because the world became a different place in 1985. In 1985, on the 2nd of November, the squid fell. And because it was the 2nd of November, it has become known as 11/2. And now people refer to it as that. They have AA type meetings where instead of being, I can't remember the term in AA where you're a friend of the guy who started AA. Here it's like you're a friend of Nemo's because Captain Nemo fights a giant squid. But we see how 11/2 affected this world, and we even see just I love this stuff where it's like, hey, here's the tourism board of New York made a commercial urging people to come back to New York City after the devastation that befell it, because God only knows how many years New York spent being a wasteland until people started living there again. And you get that great commercial like, I came back to New York for this and that, and we have this wonderful cameo from Michael Imperioli of Sopranos fame coming back to say, I came back to New York for the Italian food, I'm gonna have some calamari now with some lemon, bada bing. That moment was a fun little piece of just side lore, but also to me it was my favorite part because it just, all the pieces, again, like that jigsaw puzzle, baby, they're clicking. The way this world works is clicking inside my head, and I could not be happier when stuff like that swings and hits. So yes, so far, Little Fear of Lightning is my favorite episode just because of how well it put the end of the Watchmen comic into this world, integrated it seamlessly to the point where, wow, I feel like I have literally been living in this world where a giant squid once fell from the sky. Now, what is Keen planning? I don't know. Does it have anything to do with what Miss True is planning? I also don't know. But since Adrian Veidt manufactured the squid's appearance, I'm assuming that also means somebody's manufacturing the rainfall of squid that periodically keeps happening. And if I had to bet, I would say that that's Lady True. Why is she doing it? I think she might be a good guy, for lack of a better term. I don't think she's going to be the villain. I think that's going to be Keen and the 7th Cavalry, but I could be wrong. But that's my prediction. Let me know what you think below. And finally, speaking of bad guys, I would be remiss to not mention Mr. Adrian Veidt himself, who has finally found a way to vacuum seal that suit of armor, that steampunk astronaut outfit that I love so much, and he catapulted up into the stratosphere and ended up escaping his snow globe, for lack of a better term. I like to call it a snow globe. And we find out, yes, he is in fact trapped on another planet. So I was kind of right, but I don't think he's actually on Mars. I think it looks like he's on one of the moons of Jupiter. Jupiter's got a lot of moons, kids. Next time you visit, check it out yourself. Ask the Jupiter Tourism Board how many moons they got and see what they tell you. But from where he ends up, he's on a small chunk of planet, and he can see Jupiter very clearly orbiting around him. So he's on one of the moons, maybe Titan, I don't know, one of the frozen moons it looks like, because it's quite cold there, and it kind of looks like our moon. But it's definitely not Mars. And we even saw the gamekeeper, who, even though he was wearing a mask, I think, I could be wrong on this, but I think that's Tom Meissen. I think that's the same guy who plays Mr. Phillips or whatever, his servant. I think that's just another one of those Tom Meissen clones, which makes sense to me, because if they're all growing in this pond, maybe Ozymandias doesn't take all of them to be his servants. Maybe some of them grow up and just become normal people who live in this snow globe world. Why? I don't know yet, but I'm still holding out hope that I think Dr. Manhattan is the one who's keeping him there. But let's see what happens, because like I said, now everything is coming to a head. Angela is being framed for the death of Judd. The old Silk Spectre really just seems to be getting in everybody's way, and poor Looking Glass is stuck between a cactus and a hard place. But that has been Watchmen, Episode 5, Little Fear of Lightning. That has been Thumb Together TV. I'm Andrew Fantasia. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you here next time, and until then, adios.